Good afternoon, good morning to all the different parts of the world. I'm in Botswana, so it's good afternoon. My name is Tato Angelina Gabaitse. I'm the team coordinator of We the World and chairperson of We the World Botswana chapter. On today's theme, which is environment, we have a few panelists and we'll be talking about nature's values on the environment. As we know, today's theme is about the promotion of renewable energy, non-polluting energy systems and fuels, protecting ecosystems and biodiversity, ending the mass extinction of species, and protecting and providing clean water for all, as well as minimizing pollution and cleaning up water bodies. On the call today, we have Sumaya and Hamira. So I will give the mic over to them so they can briefly introduce themselves, where they're from, and share us a bit about the work that they do. Over to you, Hamira.
Thank you very much, Tato. Thank you everyone that is listening to us and that has joined us today. My name is Kopsinja Hamira and I'm a climate justice activist from Uganda. I am passionate about gender justice, women's rights, and children's rights. I also wear the hat of training or being in charge of training activists on the African continent through the skill sharing trainings of the Rise Up movement. And yes, and also teaching. One of my projects is teaching my communities about climate change and what actually it looks like in our daily lives, because on so many occasions we have met people that actually don't actually know that what is actually transpiring in their life is as a result of climate change, and they usually think climate change and what I'm going through is really a different thing. So I have taken responsibility on educating the general public, the children in school, the parents in communities, the young mothers, the young fathers, and telling them actually this is happening because there's a climate crisis, there's global warming. So I happen to be also a very, very big advocate for climate education being included in the education curriculum of our children in school, so that we also develop a well-equipped generation of people who know how and when to deal with, how to deal with the climate crisis and how to survive during catastrophes. I think I've said enough for now. I'll continue when the mic comes back to me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Over to you, Sumaya.
Hi everyone. My name is Sumaya Harunani and I'm a climate activist from the city of Mombasa in Kenya. I'm a member of Rise Up movement and I run a small community-based organization. And our project is focusing on the restoration of mangroves, climate advocacy, and community empowerment. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Joy.
Hi guys, can you all hear me?
Yes, I think if we can pick your voice slightly.
Is it okay now?
Okay, it's fine. Also, if we can switch on your video so that our audience, global audience, can also get to see you for all the panelists.
Hi guys. My name is Joy Scratch. I am a climate activist and environmentalist with the Rise Up movement, and I am the co-founder of an organization called Blue Earth Organization here in Kenya. And mostly we restore mangroves together with the lady who spoke after me, Sumaya. She's one of the co-founders as well. So it's a big matter to be here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, lady. Right. So really, okay. Today's conversation is going to be about the perspective of how environmental issues are affecting Mother Earth and how deep we are in climate change and the state of air pollution, deforestation, the fossil fuels addiction, and EACOP. So I think first we start with environmental issues of Mother Earth. What is currently going on with climate change and how serious this is in our own respective communities? So we can start with Sumaya.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Mother Earth, what it's currently facing right now, it's facing a lot of environmental concerns and issues. If we go to see, I mean, what are we not witnessing right now? There's global warming, the acid rains, the droughts, the air pollution, the water pollution, the waste disposal, and over the past few decades, all over the exploitation of our planet and degradation of the environment has really, really shot up at an alarming rate. And because of our actions that have not been in the favor of protecting our planet, we've been seeing very frequent natural disasters that have been striking us, and they've been striking us at a horrible rate and in a horrific way. I mean, the prolonged droughts that we have been going through in the Eastern Africa especially, and the floods right now, what Pakistan is going through, the cyclones, the tsunamis. So yeah, it's all our actions. That is what I feel, that is what I'm witnessing, that is what I'm seeing is going on with our planet right now.
Okay. Over to you. Thank you for sharing that. Over to you, Hamira.
Thank you very much. Like Smaya has said, I'm trying to get myself under light. Sorry, it's raining.
Fine.
So
You're visible. So
oh,
don't worry
nice.
about the light. Yeah.
Yes. Come again with a question. Sorry, I've been trying to get my video working. And
Okay.
yeah.
It's not a question, just really about what is happening in your community on environmental issues and how these are affecting Mother Earth, and just really how serious is climate change in your community.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. I think Smaya talks about the more international part of the impacts of how climate change is affecting us. For me, I will come very local because a few months back, we have been dealing with a major drought in Uganda specifically, and crops have been drying out. Communities have not been yielding their crops anymore. Cattle have been dying out because they can't feed anymore. And all these are sources of income for communities like us in Africa, who depend on 80% agriculture. It impacts us beyond just not being able to grow crops, not being able to milk our cows, not being able to, when we watch our cattle die. And then that's a few months back. And fast forward to this month and last month, we are facing the worst kind of flooding, landslides all over. Just the other week alone, we had people lose their lives in Western Uganda. Even this morning, there was flooding, a lot of mega flooding in Eastern Uganda. And this is the life people have been doomed to. They're living their lives underwater right now. we still have the drought in Karamoja and starvation and food crisis in Karamoja. But keep in mind, this is a country, and when I use Uganda, I use it as a picture for the rest of Africa. Keeping in mind, this is a country that was able to grow her food, that a country where most of us went to school because our parents were able to grow crops and take us to school, where most girls' futures were saved because our parents were like, I have the money, I'm growing crops to send her to school, so she will not go into early marriages. The same thing is when you get married and your parents can afford, that means you're going to harbor into a family that is doing domestic violence. And all these things are connected. Even the poverty we're having right now. We purchase a kilo of posho at probably $1.5. A kilo of posho used to be 50 cents. You understand? And this is what we are doomed to. But even then, people don't have that money. People don't make that money. While the catastrophe is growing, while the crisis we're facing every day is growing, the thing is, it's actually growing in favor of the polluters, in favor of major polluters. Because while we're talking about Western Uganda, Eastern Uganda, Northern Uganda having all these crises, and even the Central Uganda having crisis, there are polluters who are actually thinking of setting up a pipeline where they actually leaving so many people homeless, leaving so many people without losing their property. Someone who had fertile land cannot actually now graze on that land because the land was brought up so that they put a pollutant venture there. So all these things, everyone is affected, from education, from feeding, from how much you earn in a day, from how you sleep, from where you sleep, from how many kids you have, how your children grow, where your children go to school, how your children get dressed, what kind of air you breathe in. We're having so many people having pollution, like air pollution diseases, and due to the fact of the too much pollution we're facing. So all these things, and every time I keep telling people that these things are connected. You cannot say you live outside the sphere of climate change. Everything is connected, and you have to be more critical and sit back and actually learn on a big scale to know that, wait, I'm actually being affected. Yeah, so I think I've said more than enough. I can wait for the next question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Over to you, Joy.
The climate crisis, as Amira said, you cannot run away from the effects of it. We are all feeling the effects of climate change, especially here in Kenya. The other day I was watching the news, and there are regions such as Garissa and Turkana where people are experiencing the worst effects of climate change. You can see dead animals, literally dead animals, dead cows, dead goats. There's no water, and these are and it was the news was saying that this is the worst drought that we have experienced in the last 40 years. And so the effects are being felt right now. It's not a future catastrophe. The effects are being felt right now, and it's so scary, and we cannot afford to not speak about it. We cannot afford to be quiet. I live in a region in Kenya, it's Mombasa, and we live on the coastline, and we're seeing the heat, the heat we experience. This year has been a bit better, but last year, I think we experienced the worst heat that has ever been experienced in Mombasa. So the climate crisis is real, and we need to speed up the actions, and it's so unfortunate that the leaders are still quiet about it, or there isn't enough actions that are being taken to speed up the solution. Today was the inauguration, or is it the swearing in, or the handing over of power of our president, the fifth president of Kenya, and he kind of like mentioned about climate change, and Kenya pushing out fossil fuel and investing more in renewable energy. And I am glad that he did that. And we are just waiting for him to do that. And we have, at the same time, we know that leaders sometimes they just say the right thing just to move people. But I actually hope that, you know, he's going to keep his promise and just tackle the climate change, because Kenya is actually experiencing the most effect of climate change. Okay, all of us are. So I'm depending on just speaking for Kenyans, but yeah, just scale up, speed up reactions. If every country and every leader and every individual, just like us, we're climate activists. We're trying to voice out the effects of climate change. Let's continue doing that, and it's our voices are not in vain. One day they will listen to us, and that's just the hope that we have. Okay.
Thank you. Speaking about pollutants, there's displacement of communities, and we are seeing a high mortality of animals and human life. This on its own also breeds diseases. So then we end up having with more than one crisis to deal with. And in this day and age, we're in the 21st century, we shouldn't even be having conversations about an increasing mortality rate, because this is the time when technology is high. We seem to have all the solutions. And it will go back to what Joy was saying about leadership. How can we be more proactive as youth, as communities, on pushing our leaders, and or what are the policies or the change that we want? What is the change that we want to see as communities? Over to you, Hamira.
Thank you very much. That's a really good question. There are so many things I would want. There's so much change I would want to see. There's so much I would want, but for me, where I would want to start from is, one, the leaders need to listen when we speak. They need to listen, because in most places, leaders think we are young, so we have nothing to say, but we actually have a lot to say, because we actually more worried, because we still have, sorry to say, probably, sorry about my choice of words, but we have more to lose if the planet dies out, because we haven't yet lived out our lives here. And also we have a lot to lose for a person like me, who has nieces and nephews, who has young people, sisters and brothers, and maybe someday is going to be a parent. I worry for my children. I worry for my nieces. I worry for my sisters and brothers. I worry for the younger generation. So they need to listen when we speak, because when we speak out of selflessness. We speak because we care. We speak because we actually, one, we have actually read the situation, we have analyzed the situation, we have also analyzed the solutions that are there, and we have evaluated the ones that will actually be, for example, a person like me who comes from the global north, which will actually attribute to climate justice and not just be a greenwashing venture. So we have analyzed and we have read and we have seen. By the time an activist comes out to speak, at least the ones that I train, or the ones that have been my friends, or the ones that have mentored me, by the time we come out to speak, it's because we have analyzed all these things and we have seen what will work, what won't work, what is more expensive, what is more cheap. So listening to us actually is, one, is a step towards the right direction. Two, is advocating for climate education. Right now, we have so many oil engineers and very few renewable energy engineers. When I talk about education, I mean every subject taught in school, there it should have an attribute of climate change, climate action, climate emergency, how to act. The same way we're taught how to deal with fires in school, we should be able to be taught how to deal when a crisis happens. For example, the people in Pakistani who had the monsoon floods and the flooding that happened, there's a number, a number of lives lost and a number of property lost when someone is dealing with a situation they have practiced to deal with and not being caught off guard. The children and the families and the cattle and the plantations we lost in my country alone in the past 2 months, like I keep going back to it, there's a number of salvaging property and lives that can be saved when we choose to educate the population and know what to deal and know what they are dealing with. Also, another thing is we should invest in renewable energy. What do I mean by renewable energy? Right now, when you go to the global north, things like solar and renewable energy in the global north, even electric vehicles, you find them cheap compared to ours here. But if we actually bring factories that manufacture solar equipment, that manufacture biomass equipment, we bring the factories here. One, we are dealing with poverty. That means we are dealing with unemployment and employing people. But two, we are also bringing what's the word? While these factories come and train us, before you know it, more people have actually ventured out to actually do their own factories and produce these solar panels. And a solar panel that was once 20 million can now be subsidized and is cheaper because it's manufactured here at home. That way it would be easier for us to actually have a stove that is solar powered than have us go and cut down a tree to have charcoal in our houses or to have firewood to cook with. Of course, this, like I said, everything in the climate talks is connected. If we switch from firewood and charcoal to solar energy and cooking with solar energy, that means we're also reducing how many women are dying, are having breath complications, catching diseases due to the smoke they smoke, they inhale because of the firewood. So we are basically working on the health. We are reducing on the health complications. We're also dealing with employment. So I keep telling leaders every time I get a chance to talk to them that every time we actually have a solution or we act on climate change, we actually are dealing with so many other things in the background. The same way, every time there's a catastrophe, there is so much in the background that comes and attacks us. So for me, it's education. Like children should know about climate change as little as kindergarten. We should teach them about climate. We should teach them how to survive when there's a flood, how to survive when there's drought, how to actually save some water, how them as an individual not littering plastic or actually abstaining from plastic helps Mother Earth, how they can go back home and teach their parents, even in homes, how they can compartmentalize in waste. You know, this is plastic waste, this is glass waste, this is, so that even someone who is trying to recycle understands all these things, and it becomes easier for the rubbish collectors that come and collect rubbish to actually get the rubbish. No, this is plastic, take it to a recycling plant. No, this is glass, take it to probably someone who is dealing with art in plastic. And also, no, this is biomass. We can actually, this is rubbish that can actually rot, so we can try and do something with it and actually turn it into manure. So like I said, everything is working. In the process, everything I have told you, when I tell you about biomass, when I tell you about education, like you find like you're dealing with more than one thing. You look like you're actually dealing with climate change, pollution, but you're actually having a solution to more than one thing. And if our leaders could actually open their minds to how much and how big these solutions can actually change our lives and change even the people in our communities, they would embrace them and also stop thinking that fossil fuels are the only source of income that is available for us to actually grow from, probably from third world economy to this middle class economy. They actually, if they opened up their minds to addressing the climate crisis, it would do us more more good, like everyone, it do everyone more good than harm. Yes, and would save more, would really save more, trust me. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I thank you.
Thank you very much. I know you have more to say, but I appreciate how the highlight that everything is interlinked. There's no way how you can say you're focusing on climate change without improving or empowering the economic aspect and the social aspect and the health aspect and sustainability. So over to you. Thank you very much for that insight. Over to you, Joy.
I think I want to emphasize on Hamira's point that education is really, really important. The reason why I say that is because I'm a teacher myself. I'm a kindergarten teacher, and I have seen, people think that children don't understand. Children actually do understand, and I think from them, this is where the solutions come in. I remember we did another experiment. I was teaching them about the effects of plastic on our environment. And because I was their teacher, I told them, if you come with a water bottle, I don't want to see plastic water bottle. I also want to see renewable water bottles. And I told them why. I told them because plastic will stay for such a long time in my environment without pain. And they were like, really? And then they were so curious. And I remember there was another topic of recycling. And I told them, what else can we can do so many things with plastic. We don't have to throw them in our environment. And I told them, give me ideas. What else can we do? And their ideas were mind blowing. And if you could just give them an opportunity for them to just give us these ideas, the ideas are amazing, especially the young people. Um, Another thing is that, and even with recycling, it's easy. As the mayor said, it's easier for them. It will be easier for us if we groom these young little minds to start caring for the environment and to start recycling. Even in our school, um, um, I, I, during their break time, during the 4 days of the week, they have like they eat different types of things. Sometimes they eat milk with biscuits. Okay, milk is content. That was a time where they usually eat a banana. So I told them, do you know that the banana peel, where do you throw it? We throw it in the dustbin. Then I told them, okay, next time we're not going to throw. We are going to keep it under the tree. And so what happened was every time the children finish eating, they take their bowl with their banana peel and they all go to throw under the tree. And then the next week they come in and I ask them, do you see the banana peel? Where the one that you threw last week? They're like, no, where did it go? The tree just ate it up and it's not the same as plastic. And that was for the little children. For the young, and then I got another opportunity to talk to a group of the elder students, and I was telling them about the effects of plastic and how plastics take so long to decay. It takes like almost 400, 500 years. So they were like so shocked. And that was after I had noticed that during their break time, they were littering a lot because the school has introduced this plastic bags. Actually, plastic bag had been banned in our country since 2017. Kenya has like the most strictest ban on plastic, but we are seeing it coming again, and it's horrific. You're scared. You like you don't want to see the images that we had like almost 5 years ago after before 2017. So there've been a lot of littering in the school, and I had seen it, and I started getting worried, and so that's how I started going to these girls and these boys and telling them, oh, you know what, you're littering, and I see a lot of plastic going on, and I started talking to them, and then immediately after they were finished, I could see a bit of improvement. You know, they were like throwing it in that dustbin. So the next step, even the one thing that I think I'm really excited about is the incoming of our governor and the regulations that he's talking about waste. And I think this is an opportunity for me, a person who is living in Mombasa, to just help our leaders as well. Our leaders also need help. They cannot do these things by themselves. We need to as people have this conversation as well. And believe me, the effects of plastic, a lot of people don't know that actually it takes this long to decay. The information out there about plastic is we still need to talk about it. We still need to make people aware that the effects of plastics are real. And then just push for this, our government to just like whatever it is separation of plastic waste and coming up with recycling plans because we live with the coast. A lot of parcels are going to the ocean. So this is like a challenge for me and my organization as well, like the young people of Mombasa to just continue supporting the laws that are going to be there and to emphasize on just these policies, just push for policies and push for this actions to happen, especially because it's really, really polluting our environment. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Joy. Um, Over to you, Sumaya. I'm getting a lot of, give the kids a chance, give the youth a chance, leaders, because really it's our future, it's the kids' future, and who better knows how to preserve what they still have yet to experience better than the youth and the children. Over to you, Sumaya.
Yeah, so well, we know the present is already catastrophic. We are living in a catastrophic present, and the future, it's the children who are the present and the future now. It's scary if at 1.2 degrees, if the Earth's temperature right now is 1.2 degrees, and this is what we are facing. And we have to fight for 1.5. We have to fight for the Earth's temperatures to remain below 1.5 degrees. But the state at which the fossils, the burning of the fossils, the new projects that are going on, it's so scary that it can go to 2 degrees, and a planet that is 2 degrees hotter is a death sentence, especially for us in the global south. So it's scary, like what future will the children be having? What are they going to be seeing? How will they be living in the future? So I think to involve them, I mean, like Hamira said and Joy said, climate education is very important. I'm also a teacher, a kindergarten, the same as Joy. And I've also been talking a lot to my children, and especially when it comes to plastic and conserving nature, beach cleanups. You know, I used to tell them that when you go to the beach, don't throw trash there. You know, it affects the marine life, it affects the oceans, and the oceans are our life. I mean, there's not life without the oceans. So it's very, very important to involve the children, to educate them, to make it a part of the school curriculum about climate change. It is very important to make it part of the school curriculum. And children are such that if you explain to them, once they understand it, it's there is no way they can forget it, and they make sure they act upon it. So yeah, this is one way. And then another way I feel is to work along with indigenous communities, because they've coexisted with nature for a very long time now. And also, as you're working with the indigenous communities, it's important to explain to the youth the importance of involving them, because they have a very wide knowledge on when it comes to conserving nature. Yeah, so because that's what our project does, we involve the youth. When we go for the mangrove restoration project we are working on, it's led by an indigenous community, and we make sure we take the youth with us, the young volunteers. They are the youth, and we explain to them the importance of involving them, because they are the future. They have to understand what we are doing, why we are doing, and what is the importance of involving them. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you very much. It also, our next question is Indigenous communities. We have a native way of how we used to do things, as opposed to now manufacturing. It manufacturing of reusable materials still. What is your take on that? I know that setting up manufacturing sites is more or less of industrialization, and how best can we go forward in that approach of banning plastics, using glass, and making sure that these are affordable, especially for the global south.
Please repeat the question. Thank you.
Okay. The question is banning glass and alternatives, right? This is glass, reusable materials, glass, wood, and how can we move forward in using these banning plastics and making this affordable, especially for the global south, without still going back on our word, because then it would mean setting up of manufacturing sites, and we know how that also has its own impact on the environment.
So the thing is, there's a solution for all this, but the solution is expensive. That is why, and I believe the first activists or the first proprietors of climate justice and climate action knew that global south countries or developing countries will not be able to afford a fossil-free development. But again, they also knew that if we develop in the same way the global north developed, that would mean catastrophe for the whole world, because like Smaya said, at 1.2, we're already facing more death than we're ready to deal with. We're already facing more loss and damage and more catastrophe, and it's getting only worse. So that is why, for me, I will stand on the point of the global north needs to make good on their promise of the 100 billion per year for the global south. That is one. And this money will be used to invest in renewable energy, in renewable ways of mitigating the climate crisis and the climate change and reversing global warming. Also, that being said and done, this money is not supposed at any one point supposed to be used for loss and damage. That means we also need a loss and damage reparation facility. On so many occasions, we find ourselves, the reason we're actually having issues developing as developing countries is because we have a lot of pending debt that we took out for crises that we actually did not cause. I'm sure right now in my country, when flooding happens and the landslides and the hunger crisis and drought in Karamoja, I'm sure the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness is taking out so many loans, and of which these loans were supposed to pay up with a very huge interest back to the IMF and World Bank and whoever we're borrowing this money from. So this does not leave room for us to develop. For example, as of today, my country is in debt of 79 trillion Ugandan shillings. That is too much money. If debt was cancelled, because I'm very sure all this debt was not taken out for leisure, it was taken out to reverse a crisis, to deal with a crisis, to save lives, to help people adapt to what they lost, help mothers nurse their probably injured children and make sure their children are not suffering with kwashiorkor, malnutrition, probably polio, and all these catastrophes that come because of the climate or the planet fighting for its right and fighting back against us. And so for me, I believe, much as we're talking about we're talking about the catastrophe and the climate change and how we can go about it, what is actually holding us back is the global north, because instead of actually giving us the climate finance they promised, they're actually just bringing investment, fossil fuel investment, and bringing the sources of fossil fuel in our backyard. So that means amidst us dealing with the impacts of what they caused a catastrophe they have caused and a climate crisis they have caused. They also want to make us major polluters. And from experience, we have seen what making someone a major polluter means. We see what is happening to Niger Delta. It just comes with more problems than we can handle. So in my case, I believe we should join in numbers. Like I keep telling people, I can't be an activist, but if I am alone, no one will listen. But if I have Sumaya, I have Regan, I have Joy, I have a number of people, then the public will actually be like, I think they're saying something sensible. I think they're saying something realistic. Let's listen. But at a time where we actually still have even someone who is starving, or someone whose crops are not yielding, or someone whose cows no longer give him enough milk like they used to, or they no longer feed enough, or someone whose children no longer go to school, still arguing that the climate crisis is not there. This is only an example of we have not communicated about climate change and the climate crisis enough to the public. And there is no revolution that can be won without the numbers of people. The truth is these people are actually facing the climate crisis. They just don't know it in their heads how their crops not yielding out of the ground, how their children not being able to go to school connects with what you're talking about of global warming and climate crisis. So while we're doing all these things, we should get the numbers out there. As we're getting the numbers out there, we should also claim for climate finance. We should claim for loss and damage reparation facility because we need it. Every time someone loses, I saw a person's, the whole kraal of cows was washed away in the floods that happened in Eastern Uganda. And now how is such a person going to recover from that if that is actually, if they survived the flood themselves? But imagine if, so that is what we're trying to deal with right now. We should ask for a loss and damage reparation facility. And while we are doing that, we should also be at the same time making sure that the Global North provides the finances they actually promised us, and also like do our best that they do not exploit us for more resources. They already stole our gold. I mean, they already made us stole our land. They already contribute to environmental colonialism. So it's only about us sensitizing our communities, sensitizing our children, sensitizing our parents, sensitizing this person that's actually arguing with me, but I'm actually trying to help you not lose out more on what you're already losing. That way, when we have the numbers and we're not just a group of young people just arguing without, because we have the facts. We have the facts. At least I made sure we have the facts. So we have the facts. Let's also tell these people they don't have to be activists. They don't have to advocate for it. They just have to know that actually what is happening is my crops are not yielding out because there's so much green, there are greenhouse gases in the atmosphere that are leading to this, and this is affecting actually me actually earning money to take my children to school. This is affecting me actually earning money to have a better house for myself. This is affecting, like, we should train people to a point where they feel that their everyday life or we should elaborate that there, because it's not training, it's actually telling them that your everyday life is actually being affected by the climate crisis. But back to your question, like I said, if we do, the reason I want us to train people and actually sensitize people is because if the money comes and people are not ready for it, people have not read on how to utilize it in the right path, people have not, for example, the person who lost his kraal of cattle, if he was given money out of the blue, he wouldn't know what to use it for. So we also need to make sure people are ready for when the climate finance have come. We already have renewable energy engineers are lined up. We already have, so that we know how to actually combat the climate crisis. And also we should emphasize the polluter pays emphasis, because we are already, everyone knows Kenya and Uganda combined don't even make 1% of global CO2 emissions, but we are facing the worst catastrophes on the planet. So once we are able to collect the climate finance, train the people, and also sensitize people to know what is coming. For example, when we have pipelines being built, we should also tell people if that pipeline actually spills, it's going to be worse than just you losing your land, or than just you losing out on some few shillings. It's so many generations after you are going to be affected before actually that land yields back into reusableness. You understand? So
Yes.
I have said so much, but I hope the public has picked out the right answers to the question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have shared and more. I believe our audience has noted and they've gathered so much knowledge and insight. So if Joy and Sumaya have anything more to share, they can share, then we'll be heading on to our last question. Okay, then we can get on to our last question, which really isn't so much of a question. It's our magic call. If you could dial anybody right now, what would be the message that you want to get across, and to who? Let's start with Joy. Okay, Hamira, you have your camera on. I think Joy is experiencing some technical issues, so you can share with us your magic call.
Well, actually, I didn't listen to the question. Like, I was trying to trick. Please go ahead.
Okay.
I think Smaya is on.
If you
I can answer.
Okay,
Smaya
Sumaya.
Okay. Yeah, okay. One call uh to anyone. Okay. The leaders, maybe. I would like to say enough is enough. We are seeing the impacts of the climate crisis. We cannot sit and watch the planet burning. You had to act yesterday, you have to act now. We cannot just sit and listen to your words and watch your inactions. And also with the COP27 coming up, Africa being the host, Egypt being the host, I believe that it is the right of the African activists to be there, to have their voices amplified, to stand for the communities, to involve the African activists. Well, right now it's like, what, 60 days or so to COP, and we are here still struggling for badges. And where the global north, who are the polluters, I'll say, the rich countries or so, who are the cause of the climate crisis, they are all like, it's easily accessible to them, but we in Africa are still struggling for that badge for at least 1 week. We should be having that right, because you cannot address climate justice without looking at racial injustice. Yeah, so enough is enough, and you have to act now. Yeah.
Enough is enough. Yes. Over to you, Joy. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. A call to action. I think for me is to the leaders to listen, and because we already have the solutions. We already have nature that is on our side. So it's giving nature an opportunity to do its thing, and to also for the leaders to listen to the young people, because we already have the solutions. There's so much solutions. Another thing is, as Sumaya said, COP is coming to Africa, and it's time that you give the people that have been affected by the climate crisis an opportunity to for their voices to be listened to. It will be so sad that you're coming to the continent that is experiencing the worst effects of climate change, and then the representatives are not there. So my call to action is that let the activists that actually let the African activists have the final say. Listen to them. We already have some of the solutions. So listen to us. It's just open an opportunity for us to speak our give us the opportunity to tell you what is actually happening. You cannot tell the world, oh, this is what is happening. No, if you're not. So yeah, that's it. Like we need an opportunity to be listened to, and this is the time. It's here at home, and so yeah. Sorry, but yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Over to you, Hamira.
Thank you, Joy and Smaya. You're the best. So one is, when we talk about decolonizing the climate movements, what Joy and Smaya have actually just talked about is what we mean. We are still struggling to actually find badges for climate activists or for Africans actually to attend COP. And like I always say, I hate it when a white person is telling my story. I hate it when a white person is talking about the suffering of my community. If I can speak for my community, why don't you let me speak for my community? If I am from Uganda, why do you want to hear someone from Europe talking about the flooding, the landslides, the drought? Why do you want someone else to speak for me? When I speak for my community, it's because I know the heart of my community. I know what my community is going through. I know what my people are actually going through. I know what they did not eat yesterday, because they are my people. And they actually talk to me, and I talk to them, because they are me and I am them. I represent my community. I hate it, and I've always hated it every time I have seen someone else talk about Africa or talk about our community, because we have voices here. We have people who talk for ourselves. And COP27 is a chance for every activist in Africa to represent their community. And when I talk about every activist in Africa, I mean everyone that is trying to speak for their community. They have a story to tell, and they know the story of their community better than someone who comes to Africa to do research and go back, better than a journalist who comes to Africa to just anchor news and fly back. Better than, because journalists and researchers are like tourists. When they come to Africa, they only see the cream of the society. They actually sometimes don't get the chance to see the worst. Even when you see the worst, it's not the worst of the worst. But a person that stays in our communities, we know Smaya knows what happens in Mombasa at the coast and her community. Joy knows what happens in her community. I know what happens in my community. And it's only right that you provide us with the funding that is needed, the budgets that are needed, the facilities, so that we present our communities, we represent our communities and speak for our voices. On so many occasions, the solutions that have come out of COPs before have always been greenwashing solutions, have always been solutions to just shut our mouths up. But we actually want you to listen. By you bringing us to actually the COP, it means you are going to listen to us. We are going to be able to tell you that solution will work for my people. That solution won't work for my people. Can we do this like this? Because we know our communities. We know our communities. Please and please avail badges for Africans to attend COP. It is closer to home. That means it's easier for us to actually attend COP. By you availing badges, it means everyone can talk about their community. I am Hamira. I represent women and children and climate. Someone else is out there and they represent education and, let's say, men and how they're being affected by the climate crisis. Someone is out there representing plantations and farming and how they're affected by climate. All of us have a story to tell, and you shouldn't cut us out, because we have seen on so many occasions global North activists actually have access, even activists that have so little to do or like have the smallest of roles have been able to attend these UN gatherings and have been listened to. It's high time you played a fair game. You can't speak of inclusion if you're actually not including everyone. Thank you very much. Please avail the badges and please make sure we attend COP, because we have so much to say. We do not want to be washed away by the climate crisis. We still want our planet to be safe for us children, for us who have children, for our nephews, for the coming generation, even for our grandchildren. Maybe they'll read about us and be like, my mom, my dad, they fought for our climate and actually the planet survived. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, ladies. This was a jam-packed session and conversation. I've also learned so much about your individual communities and the work that you're doing. So to the world leaders, I will also make the same call. Enough is enough. The money is there. Stop putting it into fossil fuels and secure a future for our children and our future generations, to ensure that Mother Earth is going to be able to still balance and be able to sustain itself. So it's a good afternoon from Africa, and I believe from Uganda and Kenya. Good morning to other parts of the world, and probably good night. This is the end of our session today. Catch us again tomorrow. Thank you so much. Keep up the passion and compassion, and keep rocking in your own individual spaces. Bye.
Thank you.